Hello everybody, welcome to the world's greatest Bronze Age comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I'm your co-host Mike L, and as always, I'm joined by...
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
Woo, that's right, and it's Shocktober! This is the climax of Shocktober, the final episode of 2021, and we thought we'd go with a bang, and that's why we're doing Giant Size Kid Colt number 3.
This is terrible. Michael, this Shocktober has just been a disaster, at least for you. This is the first year I've tried to participate in Shocktober. I picked Man-Thing and that Scarecrow Dead of Night book. Those were pretty good. Those are kind of spooky.
Yeah, they were good.
But you picked another Spectre issue, which you picked Spectre last year in
that
Shocktober.
was kind of cheating.
Yeah, and then this year you're picking a Western that is not spooky in the least. I don't understand, Michael.
To be fair, it's Giant Size Kid Colt and the Knight Rider. So
yeah, but it's not spooky at all. There's nothing horror about this.
Horror elements. Come on.
No, there is not a horror element.
So for those that don't know, Knight Rider is the original Ghost Rider, which I'm sure we'll get into later. And so in my mind, that is a horror-themed superhero. So that's why I picked it.
I suppose. I guess. But there's nothing like there are no horror elements in this. I guess he tries to scare someone by going boo.
That's what I consider horror, right there.
But yeah, not so much. I think really you should just try again. I think you should you should extend Shocktober into November.
Oh, maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Maybe pick some actual horror comics. But anyway, we got the Giant Size Kid Colt number 3.
Yeah.
68 big pages.
That's right.
Now, Michael, how many of these big pages did you read?
I read, let's see, I'm going to let you know. Hold on, I'm flipping through. Oh, let's see, I read, 21 of these big pages. How many did you read?
I read 68 big pages of Kid
Why would
Colt.
you do that, Mike Dell?
Because that's what we usually do on this show. And this week, I actually read the book a little early this week. I think I read it like Sunday night or something. And then you messaged me on Tuesday or whatever, and you're like, hey, by the way, just read the first story. And I'm like, what?
Well, it's because I got to the reprint, and I'm like, there is no way in hell I'm reading this reprint. So.
Yeah, Giant Size Kid Colt, they did 3 issues of them in 1975, and they would feature one news story at the front, and then a bunch of reprints in the back of the book. And even though you missed those back supporting stories, Michael, I can sum them up for you. Someone cheats in a card game, a kid gets kidnapped, and someone gets shot in the shoulder. That's pretty much every story in these Kid Colt.
Wait a minute. Maybe I should have read them then, right?
Yeah. That's pretty much every damn story of Kid Colt that happens. But, yeah, so thanks, Michael. Thanks for making me read 68 big pages.
My pleasure.
of Kid Colt.
Woo!
All right, so who is this Kid Colt character? Well, Michael, he is the longest-running cowboy star in American comic book publishing.
Get out of town, really.
He was featured in stories for a 31-year stretch from 1948 to 1979.
Holy.
Although most of the stories published after 66 were reprints. This is one of the rare news stories of Kid Colt. But the character's real name is Blaine Colt, and he first appeared in Kid Colt issue 1, 1948. And created by Pete Tomlinson. What can you tell us about Pete Tomlinson, Michael?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I didn't look him up either. So, yeah. But he created Kid Colt. So that's something. And I don't know, Kid Colt's history, his backstory is a little ambiguous. He tells certain, like at least 3 different background stories of his origin or whatever. But essentially, they all pretty much are similar in the fact that either his father or his family gets murdered. He hunts down the killer and kills him, and then he is an outlaw for murdering that guy.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so he's on the run from the law. And so it's kind of, he's a good guy, though, but he's on the run from the law.
Kind of like the A-Team, right?
Yeah, in a way.
There you go.
So, yeah, you're making me like it better now. I'm thinking
there you
of
go,
the A-Team.
see? Woo.
But, so that's your Kid Colt. I think that's all we need to know about Kid Colt. He's just a gunslinger And
Okay.
I mean, is there anything you'd like to add about Kid Colt?
I don't think so. I might have read like one story here and there, but this is
Why?
probably my huh?
Why? Would
Why
you
not?
read
I love me some westerns.
Yes, yes, you do. All right, but the big selling point for this issue is Ghost Rider. So, but he's never called the Ghost Rider in this issue. He's called like the Knight Rider and
Now, I
one.
know that you did research, but did you come
A little
across
bit.
research about that particular fact and why they did that?
I did not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't research it that much. So.
Well, I'll just tell you that the original Ghost Rider was created by, I think it was Gary Friedrich and
Yes.
Roy Crank, was it?
Well,
Ray Crank?
are you talking about the Ghost Rider #1, 1966? That was Gary Friedrich, Dick Ayers, and Roy Thomas.
No. This is the thing is, there is another Ghost Rider that was created before Marvel's version.
Okay.
by hold on a sec here, let me just briefly geez, why is it not showing it? Well, anyway, there's another version from another company before Marvel existed.
Okay.
And basically the copyright ran out and Marvel just said, okay, well, now we're just going to create our version of Ghost Rider who's exactly the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they kind of just stole the character. Oh yeah, so the original was created by Magazine Enterprises, and his name was Rex Fury, created by Ray Crank and Dick Ayers. That's what it was. And he first appeared in Tim Holt, rhymes with Kid Colt, number 11. And he is like this guy, like white suit, white horse, hat, and all that. And then Marvel scooped up the copyright and they created theirs in 1967, created by Roy Thomas and Gary Friedrich.
Yeah, I have 66 here, but all right, 67 either. So his name's Carter Slade,
Right.
and he's a fella, like he's not a ghost. He's an actual human, and he goes out west to be a school teacher. He wants to be a school teacher, but when he's going out there, he encounters some Indians slaughtering some what's the pioneers, I guess is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
But when he gets closer, he realizes, hey, those aren't Indians. Those are white men dressed as Indians. And they're actually, what's the other Western term I'm looking for?
Cowboys?
People that steal horses and land.
Oh,
and
cattle
stuff.
Thieves, right?
yeah, cattle thieves. There's another word I'm looking for.
Or rustlers, or...
Yeah, rustlers, kind of.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, he intervenes and he starts fighting them off, and he gets shot repeatedly and left for dead. But then some kid named Jamie, who we encounter in this here book, he picks him up and he starts riding him out to get him help. And then they both collapse from exhaustion. And then some actual Indians find them, and their medicine man heals Carter Slade because it was always foretold that a savior would be coming to their tribe, and he figures, oh, this is the guy, because he was able to heal him. And there's also a falling star that left behind some phosphorus dust, some glowing dust. So the medicine man healed Carter Slade, and he gave him the phosphorus dust. And he gave him a special cape and a lasso and stuff like that. So then Carter Slade dons the guise of the Ghost Rider / Knight Rider / Phantom Rider. He was also called.
Right.
And like you mentioned, he's dressed in all white. He has a hat, a mask, cape, rides a white horse. He was an untamed white horse that the Indian tribe had. But Carter Slade tamed him. And his horse's name, I think it was Banshee, I think was the horse's name. And he uses this phosphorus dust to glow like a ghost.
Cool.
But he's a dude. He's a...
So now, do you know why they changed his name to Knight Rider?
Well, you just told us that whole story.
Well, no, that's not why. This is what happened. So Marvel scooped up the name Ghost Rider. They published this version of Ghost Rider, the Western Ghost Rider. Then, in 72, they introduced Johnny Blaze, right? As the new Ghost Rider.
Oh, okay.
So then they're like, well, we can't reprint these old stories as Ghost Rider, so we'll just call him Knight Rider. And then someone was like, oh, by the way, Knight Rider is another name for someone in the Ku Klux Klan. So they're like, whoops-a-daisy. So then they're like, okay, we'll call him Phantom Rider. So from that point on, whenever they reprint the old Western Ghost Rider stories, they just call him Phantom Rider now. And I think when they brought him back in West Coast Avengers and a time travel story, it was called Phantom Rider. But have you ever seen that modern classic called Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage?
I have, yes.
Yeah, see, I own it on Blu-ray, as everyone does. And in that movie, they changed it so that the Western version of Ghost Rider is Ghost Rider, and he also has the flaming skull, right? And like the Spirit of Vengeance and all that stuff. So
yeah, but
much cooler.
Now I'm a little sad that Michael Knight and Kit are affiliated with the KKK.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that.
Well, they spelled Knight with a K, so
that's true. That's true.
Oddly enough, Miguel, that West Coast Avengers storyline where they go back in the old West, that was on my list of books to pick.
Oh, so, well, hey, Shocktober's been extended.
Yeah, I know. But I have another book I want to do next week.
Okay.
So maybe because I actually considered right before the show of changing my pick to the West Coast Avengers to have the tie-in.
There you go.
Maybe we'll just push it back another week. Though. Okay. But we'll be getting to that West Coast Avengers story eventually. So, all right. Anything else about? I'm trying to look at this Carter Slade character. Well, he becomes the Phantom Rider, and he's a good guy. You know. He also has all kind of. Well, what does he use? Like some projection lantern. He uses some crazy technology to make it look like he's to pitch his image somewhere else to make him look like a ghost. Right. So when people try and shoot him, oh my God, he's a ghost. But it's really just an optical illusion or whatever you want to say.
See, here's the thing: is going in, I thought it would be much cooler if this Ghost Rider had the Spirit of Vengeance and the flaming head. But now that I've read this story, I kind of like the fact that it's all just an illusion. What do you think?
I don't know. Well,
you don't care enough to have an opinion either way.
It's very much like a Scooby-Doo episode.
Right.
It's like,
which is a good thing,
yeah. So this Carter Slade fellow, he made his premiere in 1966, and then he dies in 1972.
Oof.
In Western Gunslinger, issues 6 and 7. It's kind of like he dies at the end of 6, and then they show his funeral in 7, so however you want to look at it. And then his brother takes over. Or no, his brother doesn't take over. His brother realizes that he's the Phantom Rider at the end, right before he dies. But then that Jamie, that kid, he takes over as the Phantom Rider, and he gets killed on his first mission.
Really?
So that little Jamie kid in this book that we see, he gets murdered on his first mission. And then Lincoln Slade, the brother of Carter Slade, takes over as the Phantom Rider. And that's who we see in the West Coast Avengers story is Lincoln Slade.
Okay.
Not Carter Slade. So, because that Lincoln Slade, he gets a little crazy. And I don't know if you've ever read those stories, but he kidnaps Mockingbird.
Yes, he commits some heinous acts with her, doesn't he?
Well, he punches her in the face. That's one thing I know he does.
Oops.
And then he kidnaps her. I don't know if that's the end of the heinous acts, but yeah.
I think there's more after that, but we'll get to that when we review it, right?
Yeah, but so there's your background on the Carter Slade and the Ghost Rider and all that stuff. Anything else we should mention, Michael?
No, I think that's it. Other than the fact that, once again, I want to plug the Ghost Rider movie with Nicolas Cage that you should all own on Blu-ray.
The first one's not bad. It's actually an okay movie.
Yeah, I like it, exactly.
The second one, avoid at all costs.
It's rough. Very rough.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. The creators here, Gary Friedrich and Dick Ayers. We've talked about Dick Ayers when our buddy Miles Watson was on, and we did Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos. Dick Ayers drew that book. So if you can go back and read that. And I think Gary Friedrich wrote that as well,
I think you're right, yep. There's also, it gets confusing because there's also a Mike Friedrich, right?
Yes, because I was going to say, didn't we talk about Gary Friedrich before on the show many times? And I was thinking, well, who's Mike Friedrich? And I was like, am I just inventing that name? And no, Mike Friedrich, he wrote the issue of Warlock we did recently.
Ah, okay.
And sadly, I'm guessing, I don't remember doing research on him, so I'm guessing I probably attributed his work to Gary Friedrich.
Could be.
Like at least I said we talked about him before when I don't know if we ever did. So my apologies to Mike Friedrich if we never talked about him. But,
well, you know what? I happen to have a handy database. And I will tell you right now, Gary Friedrich wrote Captain Britain number 26.
Oh, yeah. So we definitely talked about him then. Yeah.
And he also... Oh, that's it.
Oh, so he didn't even do that Howling Commandos thing?
Apparently not. Wait.
He had a real long run on there. Maybe we missed him. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I think that's it.
All right, yeah.
Wait, sorry. No, he did. Yeah, he did Sergeant Fury, number 98.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I was going to say, because he had a really extended run on there with Dick Ayers and everything. So.
And then, hold on a sec. Wait, Mike Friedrich.
Yeah, I'm guessing he did that Warlock, I think.
Mike Friedrich did one story in Christmas with the Superheroes, number 1. And he also did, Power of Warlock, number 6.
I hope to God it was the one where Superman was a prostitute. I hope that was the story he did.
No, that was Paul Chadwick. Sorry.
Oh. All right.
Anyway.
Well, I don't know which is worse. That Superman was a prostitute, or that you knew Paul Chadwick wrote the story about Superman.
Oh, it's one of my favorites, of course. Come on.
All right. Anyway, Giant Size Kid Colt number 3 from 1975.
Woo!
Here we go. Are we ready?
I got the cover right here. Hold on a second.
It's a Gil Kane cover.
This cover is awesome. I love it.
You think? I don't like this cover.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I just think it's very boring the way it's laid out.
Oh, I think, well, just for those out there who can't see what we're looking at, so we're talking about Giant Size Kid Colt and the Knight Rider on the cover, but it's actually just Giant Size Kid Colt number 3. We got our classic Marvel Comics Group banner across the top, 68 big pages, number 3, July, 50 cents. And then we've got 2 corner circles. On the left, we have a small one with Kid Colt running towards you. Great picture. I believe it's Kirby. And then on the right, we've got a bigger circle with the Phantom Rider or the Knight Rider or the Ghost Rider coming at you. And then we've got this cover. It's a Gil Kane cover, like you said. And on the top sort of half is the Phantom Rider leaping down on his horse towards a bunch of people shooting at him. And he's saying, this is confusing because the other guy's bubble, or Kid Colt's bubble is first, but it's lower. So it's kind of poorly placed.
Yeah.
So below him is Kid Colt with guns a-blazing. He's kind of more in the foreground. And Kid Colt is saying, "They've got us caught in a crossfire, spook man." And Knight Rider is saying, "Then our only way out of here is to shoot our way out." And that's it.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom it says, "New, the Ghost and the Gunfighter."
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't like it. Oh, by the way, I should mention that you're seeing the ghost there. I guess Carter Slade does become a ghost then later, after he's dead.
Isn't that a coincidence?
Yeah.
Remember?
I know. You always mention that. When people have like superpowers and they get them. But yeah, he comes back as a spirit, and he kind of like guides whoever becomes the Phantom Rider. I think it's his. I don't know if he was doing it with his brother or after the guy who took up the mantle after his brother, but he's like a guiding force for future Phantom Riders or something. I don't know.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Again, you're way too liberal with the term cool.
Hey,
you just toss it around.
I like me some superheroes, cheesy or not.
But I don't like this cover because it's just flat. And like, why not have him coming at the camera? You know?
Okay, fair point.
It doesn't really leap off the page at you. It's kind of everything's left to right and flat, and
I'll give you that.
Not so good. But anyway.
All right, crack this sucker open. Okay, Stan Lee presents Kid Colt Outlaw. Giant Size Kid Colt. Oh yeah, that's weird. It's called Kid Colt Outlaw, huh? Anyway.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the regular series, Kid Colt Outlaw.
Okay.
So
it's also weird because at the bottom, it does say number 3. Okay. Giant Size Kid Colt, Volume 1, number 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, we've got a card game going on here between Kid Colt.
Now, let me ask you this, Miguel.
Yeah.
Did you know that was Kid Colt when you started reading this?
Not necessarily.
I had no idea this guy was Kid Colt. Because I've never had any. I guess if you're a fan of Kid Colt, you recognize him by the red shirt.
Well, yeah, on the cover he's got a red shirt, so I put 2 and 2 together, you know?
Yeah, I suppose. But he looks very different than he does in the cover, just like
that's true.
Facially and everything. Like he's more square jawed and squared faced and everything. Mm-hmm. 2 different artists, of course, but I just thought it was a dude at a poker table having a poker game with this guy. Who's he playing with?
Dak Derringer.
Dak Derringer.
Kind of like, I wonder if he's related to Rick Derringer, eh?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's the one that sang Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Come on. Remember on the WWF soundtrack from 1984? You remember that? Oh,
I don't remember that. Okay. All right. Anyway, so Dak Derringer and Kid Colt are playing a poker game, and Dak Derringer puts up 4 aces, and Kid Colt says, "Hey, hold it there, partner."
No, you mean hombre. Hold it, hombre.
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 He says, "Hey, I threw away an ace. You're cheating there, mister." Mm-hmm. And what does Dak Derringer do, Michael?
Says nobody calls Dak Derringer a cheat and lives to brag about it. Kablam! Shoots him.
Right in the tummy.
Yep.
Puts it right in his
tummy.
belly.
He's got a tummy ache now. So now Kid Colt's down for the count. Yep.
Well, actually, I don't know if it's in the tummy. Do they say it's in the shoulder? Everyone gets shot in the shoulder.
Well, it looks like his stomach, I think.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's his stomach, but I don't know. But anyway, so Kid Colt goes down on the ground, and then Dak Derringer threatens everybody else. And he has this wee tiny little gun, which is 2 barrels. I mean, he had to have used them both when he shot Kid Colt in the belly. So just beat the hell out of him now. But everyone's still scared of him. So, but he's backing out of the saloon, and he backs into Carter Slade and knocks him down.
Right. See, and again, this is the first Knight Rider, Phantom Rider comic I've met, so I didn't realize Carter Slade was kind of like this meek Clark Kentish type guy, right? Like he just gets knocked over.
Yeah, school teacher.
It's kind of cool, yeah. So they're like, Carter Slade, who's he? He's our school teacher. You okay, Mr. Slade? I think so. What's going on here? So yeah, I had no idea what this guy was like. So
but the interesting thing I wanted to mention was here, this is 1975. We're getting a news story with Kid Colt and Carter Slade. But as I mentioned, he had actually died in 1972.
So this is a flashback, technically, right? Well, yeah.
That's a little weird, but all right, anyway.
Well, I mean, that's the funny thing about, when comic book characters die, they can always just flash back to an earlier point in their career when they were alive, right? Yeah. So, I don't know. That's how I see it, anyway.
Suppose.
So basically, Dak Derringer takes off, and Carter Slade is like, somebody go get Doc Bentley. And then another guy's like, can't do it. He went out of town for a few days.
This is my favorite.
Then we'll take him to my house. I know a bit about medicine. Maybe I can save him. Some of you men help me carry him to my wagon outside. Is that the part you meant?
No, this next part. Now, since the sheriff is out of town too, you men...
that's right.
The doctor and the sheriff. Thank God the school teacher's still there to run the town.
You men round up a posse and go after the killer. I'll do what I can for this poor devil, though I fear he's beyond help. They're like, okay, we'll round up a posse.
You guys round up the posse and go get that killer. I'll stay here.
Yeah. put a Band-Aid on this guy. So he brings him back to his ranch or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's his buddy Jamie. That's the kid that saved him when he was shot and left for dead.
Right.
And he's taking Jamie under his wing as his Robin to his Batman, basically.
Gotcha. They sleep together in the same bed. Right. Gotcha.
His ward.
Yeah. So then he puts Kid Colt in this bed, and he's like tending to his wound or his wounds.
Yeah, look, the shoulder's bandaged up though, so I think it was in the shoulder.
And then basically he's like, well, there's nothing more I can do for the victim, but as soon as darkness falls, then there'll be plenty I can do about his attacker as the Knight Rider, right? So the Ku Klux Klan is going to come and save the day.
And he stores his Knight Rider costume in a cave.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I actually really enjoyed finding out all this stuff. I think it's awesome.
Kind of like a bat cave, Michael.
Exactly. So he rides his horse to this cave, and he pulls on like just a regular like rope, and it opens up the opening, and he goes inside.
Now look at the opening to the cave there, Michael. Does it look like there's a skull on that door?
Yeah, you could say that, kind of. Yeah.
Do you think that's just a coincidence, or do you think that's intentional?
I don't know. Could be a coincidence. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
So he rides his horse in, and then he's like, everything is in place as usual. Guess I'll always have the fear someone will discover the cave and learn that Carter Slade is really the Knight Rider. So then it's funny because then he's like, everything should fit well enough. Let's see. The luminous costume, projection lantern, luminous rope. Yes, that should be all I'll need. I guess it's been a while since he's worn it. It's not like he goes out every night. So
a luminous rope, luminous projector. Yes.
Yeah. So then he doesn't even put it on yet. He's just riding out. And
that's a little weird. Why wouldn't he get dressed?
Yeah, because now he's got to get suited up. Yeah. So then he runs into like where the posse is, and the posse is giving up and they're about to go back home. But then now he's already suited up, and now he's the Knight Rider, and he's glowing. And he's like, "Halt! In the name of he who rides the night winds. Where is your prisoner? Have you brought him to justice? Or do you turn from your duties as citizens like cowardly dogs? Well, who speaks for you?" So it's cool because, he's pretending to be a ghost. So I think
if you think we're cowards, wait till you get a little of that school teacher who stayed back in town.
Right. So he schools them, speaking of being a school teacher, and then he just takes off, right? So he's guilt tripping them. Right, he shames them.
He resumes the search while everyone else goes back to town.
Right. So then we cut back to the ranch. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, and we've got Jamie and whoever this is. This a woman? Yeah, this is a woman.
Yes, it's a lady. They sent for some old lady to help watch the.
Right. So then Kid Colt wakes up, and he's like, "Oh, I remember now. There was a poker game. Fella gunned me down when I caught him cheating. Did they get the varmint?" And then they're trying to convince him, just relax, don't worry. So then so then we cut over to Dak Derringer, and he is now gone to a different town, right? A few miles away. And he goes into this bar, and he's like looking for, a place to hang out. And they're like, "Sorry, Derringer, your rep's done hit this town ahead of you. You ain't welcome here. So you'd better just ride on out of town peaceful-like." And he's like, "You mean a weary traveler cannot even partake in a mere glass of beer?" But then we cut over, and is this inside the bar? Oh, no.
It was very confusing. He's standing across the street on like another building. And he is the Ghost Rider there. Right. And he's glowing white and everything. And
he's like lecturing this guy. He's like, "You will partake of nothing, Dak Derringer. Save 20 years in prison," because that's what ghosts do, right? They arrest you and put you in jail. Yes. Or perhaps the hangman's noose. Now surrender or face the awesome wrath of he who rides the night winds. So the guy's like, "F that." And he pulls his little gun out again, and he starts shooting. Crack, crack.
Yeah, he keeps the gun up his left sleeve, so he reaches in and pulls it out with his right hand, and bang, bang, bang.
Right.
Real quick.
And then, but nothing happens to Knight Rider, right? He's A-okay. So he's
because it's that illuminating projector that's showing his image.
Right.
Yeah.
So then he's like, so then the guy's like, what does he say here? He's like, "I've never missed." So he's confused. He's like, "Don't worry, bartender. After what I've just seen, I wouldn't come back to this town for the poker championship of the world. I can't explain what just happened, and I don't intend to try. I merely intend to ride as far from here as fast as I possibly can." But then Ghost Rider or Phantom Rider or Knight Rider, he's in the way, right? Yeah. So he confronts Dak Derringer, and he, what's that called? When you wind up your lasso?
Yeah. Yeah, he tries to lasso him.
Yeah, he tries to lasso him. But then we got a nice little 2-panel sequence of silent panels. And Dak Derringer, the horse kicks up. And because the horse kicks up, it actually makes him dodge the lasso. So that's cool. So then he's
falls off the horse.
Yeah, he falls off the horse, and then he's running away. And then Ghost Rider or Knight Rider is still doing his voice. "There's no escape for the likes of you, coward." So he's chasing after him on his horse. And so then Dak Derringer shoots at him. Crack, crack. And then Dak Derringer's like, "Just as I suspected, the so-called Knight Rider is a hoax." So just like Batman in the 1989 movie, Ghost Rider gets shot, right? Or Knight Rider, and he's fallen down just like a regular guy, and he's laying on the ground. And then
Dak Derringer's like a mere flesh wound, but more than enough to convince me he is more than a man in a costume.
Right.
But hey, here's an idea. Why don't you shoot him in the head while he's on the ground?
Exactly. Instead, he's like, "You know what? I'm just gonna keep riding, and I'll get out." Oh yeah, does he steal his horse? No.
Yeah, he does, but
then it becomes brown.
Brown. Yeah, right. Like he even says I'm getting on this white horse, but they color it brown. So
right. So that's a mistake.
Yeah.
So then the rest of the people who are at the bar, or is this the posse?
That's the people at the bar and stuff. Okay. The posse went home because they're a bunch of cowards.
Right. So the people at the bar are shooting after him as he's riding away. But then meanwhile, Knight Rider kind of wakes up, or he's good now, but he's holding his shoulder.
Yeah, I was going to say, where is he shot, Michael? In the shoulder.
In the shoulder. And I think that's supposed to be blood, but it's just a black splotch. because they weren't allowed to have blood back then, so it was just black. So then we cut over to Kid Colt waking up, getting dressed, and like this old woman is trying to convince him that he's just got to stay in bed. He's like, F you.
Yeah, you're an old lady. I'm not staying in bed.
Right. So he's like, no, forget it. I got to go. He's like, I got to go help Carter Slade. Right. No, he's like, but this is something I need to take care of. I hope this Carter Slade will understand. Adios. And thanks again for everything. So he's going to go find this guy. Right.
Yeah. The guy that shot him in the shoulder.
Right.
He's going to go get him.
So then meanwhile, Phantom Rider or Knight Rider or Ghost Rider, he's riding now a different horse, right? That's also brown, yeah. Yeah,
it's a brown horse.
And so now we cut to Dak Derringer and he's on the white horse, right? So he's riding. And he's like, and then he sees, this is now the people from the bar. And he's like,
or that town at least.
Yeah, the town. He's like, I'm boxed in, a posse breathing down my neck. Surely there's a way out, but where? It's impossible. It can't end like this. And so then all of a sudden he turns around and there's the Phantom Rider. The Phantom Rider's on top of this like mountain, like cliff. And he's like, they have him, which is well enough. But if they also capture my horse and discover it is covered with phosphorus, it could well spell the end of the Knight Rider. So he's got to think up something else. But then all of a sudden, who's behind him but Kid Colt? And so Kid Colt starts arguing with Knight Rider. He's like, we've still got to play this the lawman's way. Any other way will only cause a heap of trouble for both of us. So he convinces him that he's going to take him in, right? Kid Colt?
Yeah.
Right. So the main thing is we're both on the same side. So if you don't ask me any questions, I reckon I can do the same for you. How about it? We're in this together or against each other? ? And then he's like, you leave me no choice, Kid Colt, outlaw. I will do as you say. So ghosts negotiate. So they team up together. This is like a Marvel team up kind of thing, right?
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
Right. And then Dak Derringer is on top of this kind of like, little rock formation as the posse's looking for him. And they're kind of, he starts shooting at the posse. And then Knight Rider's like, look, Kid Colt's like, look, I want Derringer enough to risk my life to get him. But how do I know where you stand? I mean, with that mask and getup and everything. And he's like, you do not, as with all things spiritual, you can only trust me. And trust me you should. After all, if I wanted to kill you, I could have easily done so long before now. And the Kid Colt's like, reckon you got a point there, masked man. So now they're going to work together. And he's like, anyway,
how could you have easily killed him before now? I mean...
Well, I think he's just trying to, scare him into thinking he's still a ghost, right?
Yeah, but why would Kid Colt believe? I don't know. It just seemed like Kid Colt just accepted that way too easily.
Right. So I love this. These guys in the posse are like hiding behind a rock, and one of them's like, I'm going after him. If none of the rest of you have the guts to take him, I have. Crack! Oh, he gets shot. He's down. I love this.
He's dead.
Right. So then I love this scene because this is supposed to be a ghost, right? But he's like, my lord. So Knight Rider is shocked that this guy got shot. Yeah. And then Kid Colt's like, pull yourself together before he kills somebody else. And Knight Rider's like, you're right. It's just that I know those people, and I forgot I'm a ghost. I don't care, actually. I'm the spirit of vengeance.
Yes, it's so weird. You were given the ghost voice because all the time in his dialogue, it'd be like a wavy kind of dialogue balloon, like he's talking like a ghost. And then here he sees someone get shot, and he's like, oh my.
Right, exactly. My lord, my word. So he's kind of letting the disguise down. So then, obviously this is Kid Colt's book, so he's the star, right? So he's like, listen to me, like I said before, I don't know what your gimmick is, and I don't care. All that matters is that you put it to use against that sidewinder. That's what I call everybody when I'm trying to insult them, a sidewinder.
That's right.
So then, meanwhile, what's his name? Dak Derringer, he's still, in control. He's got his gun, but then all of a sudden he turns around, and there is Knight Rider. You bask in your evil glory far too soon. Wait, did I say that right? Yeah, evil one. For it is written, he who shall dwell in the house of evil shall perish in the flames which consume it. And then Dak Derringer's like, don't give me that Indian hocus pocus. We've met before, and I have emerged the victor, just as I shall once more. For the power of the bullet is far greater than that of ancient myths. So he shoots him, but he's just an illusion, right? So nothing happens to him. Because we cut over and we see that Kid Colt is actually, I guess he's operating this thing. What is this called?
The illuminating projector.
Right. So cool, eh? Oh, I love it. So then Knight Rider is like shouting at Dak Derringer. He's like, "You have failed again, Dak Derringer. Why not surrender your weapons and accept the fact that you are a prisoner of justice of he who rides the night wind? No, never." So he's like, oh, that's it, Mr. Derringer, turn and face the truth as all evil men must face it. No! Yes, Mr. Derringer. Your moment of judgment is now at hand. So then basically he's scaring him into submission, right? And Dak Derringer's like, I'm sorry, I didn't believe it, but I was wrong. But as he's, pretending to fall to his knees and surrender to Knight Rider, he, in his back, belt or whatever, he's got another gun, right? Or is this the same gun? I don't even know.
No, it's a different gun.
Different gun? Oh, that's right, yeah, because he drops his gun. So then he reaches in his back and he pulls the gun on him. And Knight Rider is like giving his speech and about he who rides the winds and all that stuff. But then he pulls
he's trying to pray to the Lord. He's like, however, the God of us all is a merciful one. Perhaps if we pray to him together. And he's giving a prayer while Derringer's reaching to take another gun out. Yeah.
Right. Forgive this evil man, O merciful Father. His crimes are numerous. But then all of a sudden, crack! A gunshot comes from behind. And sure enough, Kid Colt shoots Dak Derringer in the back of the back.
Yeah, in the back of the back.
Right. Not the front of the back.
As all heroes do, he shoots him in the back.
Yes. He's like, that was close, compadre. Lucky I was covering you. Your shot was unnecessary. I was prepared to deal with it myself had my ruse failed. So yeah, they worked it all out. They beat him. So then Kid Colt's kind of making fun of him. He's like, what was all that mumbo jumbo you were just shouting anyway? And then Knight Rider's like, just an attempt to discover the sincerity of his words of repentance. It's unfortunate that some men seem beyond salvation. As for you, kid, although I sympathize with your case, you're still a fugitive from justice. So now Knight Rider is still going to arrest Kid Colt.
Yeah, he's like, I'm afraid I'll have to take you in to stand trial.
Right, but then he's like, tell you something. He's like, I'm innocent of the charges filed against me. If you want to shoot me in the back, like I just shot that guy, well, help yourself. But just remember, I saved your neck, and I expect you to be man enough to return the favor. And then the Ghost Rider / Knight Rider / Phantom Rider is like, okay, mister, you win this time. But clear your name before you ride into my territory again. And then he's like, I'll do that, Knight Rider, or whatever you call yourself. But until we meet again, try and clean up your act, huh? It's a mite sloppy. Didn't even fool a dumb gunslinger like me. So basically, the writers are admitting that Phantom Rider, Knight Rider's, whole getup is not very convincing. So,
Yes.
That's the end. The end.
The end.
Yep. So yeah.
Now that was the end for Mike L. But of course, I read another 47 pages.
Yeah. So go ahead, read those now. So yeah.
All right. I will say this. That was easily the best story of the 68 pages.
Yeah. I can imagine. I personally, I enjoyed it. It makes me want to read more Phantom Rider stories.
Are you serious? Really?
Dead serious, yeah. Come on.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, it was, I guess, cute and quaint. But like we mentioned, I like the Ghost Rider, Knight Rider, whatever. I like his look. His look's very cool. But the character himself is pretty flimsy and wishy-washy and not that strong,
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of one of those things. It's just like when you go back to like the Golden Age and you find out like, I'm a superhero. What's your superpower? I've got a really good left hook.
Well, that's awesome. I love that.
I'm short and I'm called the Atom. And then like 20 years later, like, why don't we create a character who's called the Atom that can turn into atomic size? Like, that makes more sense. So that's what this Ghost Rider is like. It's like, why have a guy dress up as a ghost? Why don't we just make him an actual ghost, right? So.
Well, yeah. But I kind of, like I said before, it's kind of Scooby-Doo-ish, like pretending to be a ghost and all. But I guess in this era, it's fine. It works. And, whatever. But he's not very good at what he does.
Yeah.
Like, the first time he encounters Dak Derringer or whatever, he just runs at him, gets shot in the shoulder right away. Right, he should have been dead right there. That should have been it. He should have been dead.
Right.
And so he's not a very professional pretend ghost. He needs to get better at his job.
That's true. I agree with that. Yeah,
and
like
then the way he loses character, like, oh my, he got shot.
Right, right. And the fact that Kid Colt even calls him out, it's funny because didn't you say that Gary Friedrich is the creator of this version?
Yes.
So it's funny because it's almost like he's criticizing his own character. It's kind of weird.
yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. But I guess quaint would be the good word to describe this.
Right,
but,
right.
Yeah, it's not something I'd want to read again or anything.
But hey, like I said, listeners, I want to read more Knight Rider and Phantom Rider or whatever he's called. Definitely.
Yeah, so are we done here? Is there anything else to say? I don't know. It seems like...
Well, we didn't. Let's talk about the story. I mean, let's talk about the writing. I thought it was good. I was surprised how good the dialogue was.
Well, no, see, I thought the writing was very weak in terms of the characterization and stuff.
Wow.
I thought it was very...
But just because the character's weak doesn't mean the writing is weak.
No, it's exactly what it means. It means
what?
Because the writer's the guy who writes the character on the page. Yeah, so like he made choices that made the character weak. So yeah, it wasn't that
but maybe
strong.
maybe he wanted it. But okay, what about Kid Colt? He's a good character.
I suppose. I don't know. Like, but again, that whole thing when they're having that discussion, he's like, "I could have killed you." I would think Kid Colt would be, "Oh yeah, you could kill me. Well, I'm trying to do something about it right now, there, buddy."
Yeah,
but
I
he's
guess
like,
so.
"Oh yeah, I guess you're right." I was like, "What?" I don't know. It didn't make any sense. But
picky.
And how good of a gunslinger is Kid Colt if he gets shot in the tummy when he catches a guy cheating in cards? You know?
That is pretty bad. I gotta admit. But then again, he is the longest running Western character in comics, so they were doing something right.
But yeah, I don't know. The writing could have been better. I thought Dick Ayers, the art was fine, for this era.
Yeah, it was cool. It wasn't spectacular, but it was good.
No, but it was okay. And so it's okay. But yeah, it's nothing I'd want to read ever again.
Shocktober, folks.
Yes, it was pretty horrifying. I will say this. If you're doing Westerns, you really got to draw a lot of horses,
Yeah.
You really got to be good at horse drawing.
And you got to make sure you color them the right color, right?
Yeah, that was another mishap.
Right.
But yeah, got to draw horses. I've never drawn a horse. I don't want to draw a horse.
I'm just looking at this backup story that I didn't read.
There's a lot of backup stories. There's like 4 or 5.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Wow, okay.
Oh, yeah, I know I'm right.
Because you read them all. I mean, look at that Denny O'Neil. Oh, and Werner Roth. Cool. Yeah, maybe we should review these. No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
all right. I'm good.
But yeah, so.
And by the way, the backstories, they don't all feature Kid Colt. Some of them are just random Western people.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking through some of this art is really good. I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously I picked this comic because it's got the original Ghost Rider in it, and I always want to find out more about Marvel's horror-themed characters, so that's why I picked it.
Couldn't you have picked a issue with just the Ghost Rider and not like Kid Colt Giant Size 3? I didn't have to read 60 pages.
I dug deep and I couldn't really find one that was in the 70s.
Well, you know what? Yeah, because now that I think of it, the first Ghost Rider series only lasted 6 issues.
Right, so that's probably why.
But that Western Gunslinger series was in the early 70s, and he was in that.
Oh,
so
okay.
you could have picked one of those.
All right.
But,
hey, there's always next year's Shocktober. There you go.
Yes, because it was so spooky.
Yeah. All right. So, are you really going to extend Shocktober? What do you think?
No. Well, I think you need to, because you didn't even pick any horror books in Shocktober.
Well,
you are 0 for 2 in horror books.
Truth be told, though, I've already promised somebody that they can have their own pick in 2 weeks, so I don't think I can.
Oh, you're letting him pick?
Yeah, what do you think this is? Of course.
I thought you were going to make him come on and read another Superman story.
Nope. It's Jank pick.
Yeah, Kevin Jank will be in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But, we never gave her 1 out of 10 on this one.
Oh, right. Ooh.
I can't go higher than 4. I'll go 4.
I'll go 5. I enjoyed it. In the Scooby-Doo kind of way, I enjoyed it. So, and I'm going to read more. And I'm going to try and read all 6 appearances of the original Ghost Rider before he was canceled.
Yeah.
Or however many issues there were.
All right, so there you go. So I did, right before the show, like I said, I did consider picking that West Coast Avengers so we could keep the Ghost Rider theme going, but maybe we'll take a break. Maybe
if you say
we'll come back to that. Because I wanted to do West Coast Avengers for a while, but we'll keep it on the back burner. because Mike L, I've already read this book, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, so I'd like to discuss it. But I like to do what's popular with the kids, and there's another Marvel movie out these days.
Ooh, Eternals?
That's right,
Woo!
Eternals. We're going to go Eternals issue 1, 1976.
Whoa, now you're talking.
Written and drawn by Jack Kirby.
Nice, the king.
So, yeah. Now, have you seen the Eternals movie? Is it out yet, or?
No, it's not out. It's not out till
All
November
right.
5th, yeah.
Oh, so we're jumping the gun a little bit, but it's...
Oh, no, this is good because, yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
out like a week before or whatever. This is perfect.
Yeah. But, because, you know, I respect Kirby more than I like Kirby, you know?
Oh, see, I love Kirby.
But when I read this issue, like, earlier this week or last week or something, I was like, oh, this is actually really good.
Oh, good. Yeah, because this is already, like, 70s Kirby when he wasn't quite as good, so...
But this is in his wheelhouse, this kind of story, and we'll get into it next week. But like, this is what he should be doing, way more than like when he was doing Black Panther, which he had no business doing Black Panther.
You're right. It's funny.
He tried to put Black Panther in like in space and everything. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
You know. But,
Well, that's cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the
be
Eternals
fun.
issue 1.
All right. So yeah, be sure to join us next week and the week after and every week on Flea Market Fantasy. We always do random, well, not random, but what is it called when you curate carefully curated Bronze Age comics? 1 week I pick, 1 week Mike Dell picks. You can follow us under Comic Book Syndicate on Stitcher, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can also follow Comic Book Syndicate on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and the Comic Book Syndicate website. So until next Tuesday, disperse!